Guys, I did it. I found the weapon to defeat Standard Man. It's more robots. It's funny, I was in Japan for a month destroying Bermuda with DP, which is one type of robot, and now I'm back in Europe destroying it with another robot. So, today I'm gonna go over my deck that I used to win my standard shop challenge in my local store, Games Tower. Please come visit. We have tournaments twice a month. Yes, hello. We have our premium one this week actually, so if you feel like coming down and are in the area, then please do. This, I have no idea why I took out the Axles. It's Axle 2, that's all that matters. Anyway, we're gonna go over the deck. I'm gonna go over my matchups. Gonna go over my experience on the day itself. It was a fun day, good day. It's nice to see some new people at my shop as well, so it's good. Thank you to all those that came by. I hope that the brightness isn't too bad. I think the quality might be a bit better than usual. Let's see how the autofocus is. It's good. Nice. Buying this app was worth it. Anyway, so, standard is fun. No, really. Actually, it's a really fun. I'm having a lot of fun after Japan. Like, in Japan, I really had a lot of fun. I played mostly standard because it was just easier to find tournaments. There were more people in the tournaments in Japan. So, yeah. I guess I'll go over my deck first and then explain some choices and then go over matchups at the end. So those of you that care about the matchups can stay for that. So I'm playing 4 Illuminals. So let's see if I can maybe decrease the brightness or something. No? Okay. Well, XD I guess. Well, I mean, you probably see my deck list somewhere else already. But anyway, so 4 Illuminals. Illuminal is a good card. Essentially, at the end of battle that a rearguard attacks, if it didn't hit, combos 1 standard, gets 10k attacks Vanguard. Good skill, I'll explain the best cards to use it with later, but basically, like, it's really nice because once they're at, like, 4 or 5 damage, even if you swing with, like, a 13k and they guard it, you restand it, and then swing for 23. If it's a Grants, that's gonna hit again, stand again, maybe twice if you have a kick, so definitely very cool. His second skill is when another unit attack hits, gets 15k. He gets 15k, and that's also in Vanguard and Rearguard Circle. Make sure you don't forget that it's when it hits anything, so even if your Rearguard hits another Rearguard, that still goes off, so that's really, really cool. So, very good, grade 3. It's good as a Rearguard, good as Vanguard. This, however, is only good as a Vanguard, so this is Azure Dragon. Azure is a good card. When you ride him, you can make almost 1 to draw 1. Call a card from hand to Rearguard Circle, attack your opponent's Vanguard with it. If it doesn't hit, it stands. And then his second skill is when he attacks, you make almost 1 to stand a Rearguard. So, he is also a good card, especially going first. Wow, the glare is really bad, I'm sorry. I don't know why, so give me a second. I'm just gonna turn the light away, XD, so I guess that's gonna do it. So yeah, the reason why this guy is still good is just because when you're going first, your opponent's at 9k or 10k, mostly 10k because most decks in the meta are Force, and so you're able to slap them a lot, and then you're hitting for, like, you know, with the Force 2, you're hitting for at least a 14 or like a 13 if it's a grade 1, and then being able to restand it if it doesn't hit, or being able to restand it with Azure is always going to be nice. So Azure is a great card. Also with Axle 2, you ride this, get his Axle 2, draw 1, use this, draw another one. So you draw into 2 targets. Even if your hand was literally triggers before that, you have 2 chances to draw into something that you can call with this and attack with, so it's pretty damn chill. So good card, overall very nice. This deck, a whole deck list is very standard, honestly. So 4 Brutal Jack, 19k attacker, doesn't stand in stand phase, so you can intercept with it. Otherwise, you rest 2 rearguards and stand him. There are some nice plays you can do with this, actually. That's why you shouldn't intercept with him too much. If you have the Crimson Bird, Scarlet Bird, sorry, in hand. But I'll go over that direction once we get to Scarlet Bird. Then, 4 Kick Kick. Kick Kick is a good card too. When placed on Vanguard or an additional Rearguard Circle, you can give a unit plus 5k. Sometimes you can give Azure 5k if he's 12k against the 4th grade 3, because, I mean, we are killing Standard Man, so we have to kill Bermuda. Therefore, we need to give some power to Azure if we want to attack with him unboosted, and so that's pretty good way to use Kick Kick. So you can actually just, like, call Kick Kick off of the Azure, and then give Azure the power, and then attack with a Kick Kick. And then even if he doesn't stand, like, from Azure's skill, you can stand him and then still use Kick Kick skill to stand something else. Obviously, using these 2 in 1 turn will cost 3 Cannon Blast in 1 turn, which is pretty insane. But otherwise, good card. Just keep in mind that you have to have all front row rearguard circles occupied, so don't misplay it, please. So, then we have 4 Stylish Hustler. Also, I can flex my cool Grand Blue sleeves. So, this guy is good. His first skill is good against matchups like Kagura, which is pretty popular, but we didn't have any at my shop challenge. So when another rearguard is retired by an ability of your opponent's card, you may soul blast 1 to bounce one of the cards that was retired into your hand, which is really nice. So instead of being retired, it goes to your hand. That's literally just like it's literally just a bounce for a Soul Blast 1, so very good. His second skill is what you'll be using against most matchups though, like Bermuda, and like DP after this week and whatever else. So when he attacks, he gets plus 3k for every card in your damage zone for that battle. So even 1 damage is a 12k attack, meaning you're hitting Axel and Protect, so that's good. And I mean, 2 damage means you can hit Bermuda for 15k. That's all that really matters. With an 8k boost, it's going to be a magic number, so pretty nice, something to be happy about, so definitely good stuff. 3 Claydol mechanics. I never used this first skill because I always had at least 5 cards in hand and rear guards combined. Or the one time that I just didn't draw into him, so sad times. Otherwise, I use him most often like on an Azure turn, where like I would counterblast through everything for like kick or Azure, and just to not get choked for next turn, I'll retire him at the end just to make sure. Like I would retire him after boosting with him, but while counterblasting, obviously, to be able to have a counter charge for the next turn. So yeah, or like if I'm on 2 counterblasts, I'm gonna use both Azure and kick in one turn. It's pretty good for that. And then the actual Bra Moment MVP of the deck, honestly, like legit, the MVP, Grants. Grants is just insane. So when your other unit attacks, if you have grade 3 Beast Deity Vanguard, you may Soul Blast 1 to stand him once per turn. But what you do is, like on an Illuminal turn, call this to an Axel 2, swing for 13. I think my sweat just got onto it, oops. So you swing for 13. If it doesn't hit, he'll stand with 23. If it does, whatever, stays like this with a 13. Then you attack with anything else, you can Soul Blast 1 to still stand him, and be able to then swing again. If it doesn't hit, stand him. Chances are you might have already stood something else with Luminal, doesn't really matter, but he's still going to be attacking a lot of times, even if it's a 13 poke. That's pretty annoying for Bermuda, because they don't have that many 5k guards, because like Lieselots, they have to either guard with a Lieselot, or with one of their whatever grade 2 they choose to play, usually the one that lets you draw 2 if you have, lets you draw 2 and then return 1 if you have the same rear guard as your Vanguard. But so, they don't have a lot of 5ks. Some Bermudas only play 8 grade 2s, and so they're going to be either guarding with a 10k or using their Fina Intercept skill to actually guard against even the small poke, or they let it through, which is like, they let through a 13k poke. That's good for you, because that's, I mean, all your other attacks are probably going to be bigger, so very, very good. Another use for this card, I'm going to skip ahead in my deck profile to the last card of the grade 1s, is Drill the Duel. So what this guy does is, when he boosts, you discard a card from your hand, and until end of turn, when your opponent would guard against the card that this boosted, they have to guard with 2 cards simultaneously. So it doesn't even have to boost, it's just that like that card gains the skill basically. So what you can do sometimes, I actually did this against Bermuda, is literally just make a column of Grants and Drill, and then attack like this, use Drill skill, so that now it's a 16k that they have to guard with 2 cards from hand, and then when this restands by whatever, it's going to attack again 2 cards, then use his own skill to restand, attacks again. Like whether it's Kick or Luminal restanding him or Azure, they're still attacking, like they're still guarding with 2 cards. And like this is the only card in the deck that restands itself. So, like, it's really good to use with Drill the Duel as well, in my opinion. So, definitely something that people shouldn't sleep on. It's a pretty cool interaction that, like, I didn't think about too much before playtesting the deck. And finally, the MVP, the reason why I didn't die to Zanbaku in one matchup is Scarlet Bird. So, during main phase, when you call him, Soul Blast 1, stand all units, including Vanguard. And then if you stood 2 or more, if the starter is in your soul, then you draw 1. I did this pretty often. And now, what I was saying with Brutal Jack, so let's say he's resting, and you have, I don't know, like 2 units on the board, so you'll rest both of them to restand the Brutal Jack, so he's standing, then call the Scarlet Bird, counter Soul Blast 1, and then stand both of them, draw yourself a card. So you have to stand 2 or more, so that's why that little combo is nice. So that way Brutal Jack is actually a really, really good card, and so it works really well with the whole deck, and it's just, it's worth it. It's a good card. Triggers are very standard, very basic, very typical, I think what you'd expect. 4 drop PGs, I know that these these are getting pretty expensive recently. Then 4 heals, and then 8 crits. So you're running, well, I'm running 2 of the Shining Lady, 2 of the Ord Anchor, and 4 Red Lightning. And then finally, the starter, which is your White Tiger. So I'm gonna put this away, because I know people like to skip to the end of the video and don't like to watch the whole thing, so y'all better listen now. Anyway, so matchup-wise, I had 4 rounds of Swiss, and then followed by top cut to a top 4. And so, first round of Swiss was Bermuda. I think I went first, which was obviously nice. And then, actually, let me just zoom in. So, round 1 was Bermuda. I went first, won game 1, and then game 2 went second, won game 2. Bermuda matchup, honestly, is just like going second. It's fine because you can start pushing from like turn 1. Like you can swing with random 8Ks, Clade, all mechanics, whatever they are, just swing with them. Try to push because early damage triggers are nowhere near as devastating as the late damage triggers, because that's when you're starting to do your combos and you don't want them to damage trigger there. So push them from grade 1, push them on grade 2, like just push them as hard as possible so that by the time that you want to do your grade 3 shenanigans, the damage triggers don't matter as much. So that's the most important thing against Bermuda. So round 1 was Bermuda, 2-0. Round 2 was against Narukami. Unexpectedly hard matchup. This is before Gauntlet Buster, bear that in mind, so that's another thing to think about. But Narukami is a pretty hard matchup. We were really close. It was really card for card, and I think it was missing like 5k guard to guard the last attack that led to me losing that. So that was the one round that I lost. It was I think it was a 1-2 loss as well. So basically, like, I can't remember. I feel like I went first, but I can't remember exactly how that game went down entirely. But he bound my things pretty consistently. But the thing is, like, every time I call down cards, I call them down with the expectation that they will be bound. Like, I knew for a fact that they'd be bound and that I'm going to be losing them. So I tried to always keep pieces in my hand that would be able to still survive the turn later. So basically kind of playing a bit more conservative, which isn't the best thing for this deck, so maybe that's what actually withheld me from winning that matchup. So I'm not too sure about Narukami. Obviously, new support coming up very soon, so I feel like it's better to start talking about it after that new support. Then, round 3 was Murakumo. Yeah, Zanbaku was okay. I just sat on Azure Dragon all the time. Obviously, I couldn't ride up because of Zanbaku's skill, but Azure Dragon is good enough just because of he's able to restand stuff, and then I put Luminals on the rearguard circles and was able to push, and overall it was a pretty good matchup. I'm pretty sure I did 2-0 in that one. And then also, just to mention, it was Axel 2 every single game, so yeah, Axel 2 all the way. Round 4 was against Bermuda again. This time, I think I went second, and then I won. I'm pretty sure I went second on both games, actually. And so I had to go second both games. But he didn't have such a strong start. You know, some of the Bermuda players, they have crazy good starts. Like, they'll go grade 1, they'll call Lieselot, then get, like, a Sierra or something, and then, like, just pop off. And then next turn, like, Lieselot into, like, a Melody grade 3 or something, you know, all, like, that kind of crazy stuff. That's what my finals was. But that game was a bit more, like, slow. It wasn't as devastating. Also, like, basically, because they're playing with Force 2, I always kept PGs for the Force 2, and I always guarded early. Like, guarding on turn 1, guarding on turn 2. That's why sometimes having a crit or a heal in hand wasn't the end of the world, just because I could actually guard with it in the early, and then you can actually take a couple damage and soak up a bit of damage later on when they start doing their turn 3, turn 4 push turns. So I think the key to beating Bermuda is be aggressive early with the pieces that you can drop, but keep, obviously, like, you know, don't call down your crits and heals that you can guard with and be able to stay on like 1 or 2 damage. Honestly, you can even stay on 0 damage. It's fine. Like, you don't really need to counterblast until turn 3. So just like just be very, like, be aggressive but be able to guard the early turns. That's very important against Bermuda. So I won that one, so I was 3-1 going into top 4. Top 4 I played against Mr. Solemn Vanguard. He bricked game 1 while going first, and so that gave me a chance. And then, yeah, I basically comboed off. He didn't hit many defensives, or yeah, I feel like he didn't hit any defensives in that game, and that kind of made me just kind of, like, you know, pop off. Game 2, he was unlucky with defenses again going first. I went second both games, and then I actually stacked a crit on something that I was restanding and that had Drill the Duel behind it, and he had like 1 card in hand, so I legit went like attacked, he 6 damage healed, but then the attack was, I think it was an Illuminal, so it was still big enough, and he couldn't guard it because it was a 2-card guard, and so he had to take that again, and then he didn't final heal. So that was game 2, so I won top 4. Then finals was against Michael Winley, and he was the real standard man of the tournament, honestly. Like, that was absolutely crazy. He had super good early game, like, honestly playing Bermuda like flawlessly. Game 1, he slapped me, I also bricked and G-assisted. And so I could, like, I really played the game as long as I could and as far as I could, but I just couldn't, like, make it out of there. So game 2, I nearly died. I somehow made like the comeback of the century and somehow managed to pull through in that game. And then game 3 I actually have recorded. I'll upload it to the second channel at some point. It's not going to be commented or anything. It's just going to be like raw camera footage, but that's what the second channel is for, just random stuff like that. So yeah, and then I won that. After, like, he wasn't really getting many melody units, he couldn't really set up a board because I was pushing a lot, and so that actually showed me the strength of Nova in that sense as well. So, overall, great day, good matchups. Like, Bermuda is, I'm surprised by how good of a Bermuda matchup this is, because I was like, oh, DP has an easy Bermuda matchup, I don't know about Nova, and considering, like 40% of the whole shop challenge was Bermuda, I was really like surprised to see that I was doing pretty well. So yeah, so good shop challenge. This coming week is gonna be premium, so I'll probably go with Nova again with Victor, because I think it's a bit better for me to take that, considering my decks. But yeah, so that's gonna be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to those of you that said congrats and all that stuff on Twitter and Facebook. So I hope this also answered any of your questions about, you know, my deck or about my matchups and the experience over the day. So thank you so much for tuning in. So that's gonna be it for me today, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.